Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, professor of physics at Luther College, bringing you once again what to look for in the night sky. This time our series is focused on the week of February 21, 2022. If you've been watching these, you know that I've been, I don't know what the right verb is there, but I've been sort of maybe apologizing a little bit for spending so much time thinking about tracking the moon and the planets. And I had another thing in mind this week, but the moon's so good in the morning sky next week. Let's talk about the moon and let's use that to find some stars and for different levels of where you are in interacting with the night sky and getting to know the night sky. There are different things for you to watch for here. But the moon's going to be fantastic and passing a bunch of very interesting stars. So let's start on the morning of the 21st. So this is any time after midnight after midnight Sunday night. So Sunday night, midnight into the morning of the 21st, Monday morning, the moon is going to be in Virgo. And Virgo, the bright asterism of Virgo, to me, looks kind of like a martini glass there. We probably talked about that before, with a very bright star Spica at the base of that martini glass. So Spica, if you remember how to find Spica often, is we look at the handle of the Big Dipper. This won't be to scale with the rest of this, but you look at the handle of the Big Dipper, and there's a curve in the handle of the Big Dipper. We like to say it arcs to Arcturus. And then you keep following that curve down to Spica, and you spin on down to Spica. So you've got, that's the way you find this. It's probably not that tilted, but that's the path. You follow the curve of the handle of the Big Dipper to Arcturus, and then you spin on down to Spica down there. And so Spica's a nice bright star. And the moon, on the morning of the 21st, the moon's about 3/4 full. So the moon's going to be waning all week and moving easterly through the background stars. So that means as you want to watch these things as the week goes on, you're going to need to get up a little. You're going to need to get closer and closer and closer to dawn to be able to see these things in the coming week. But it's a good week. It's worth getting out and observing. So about 7 degrees, the moon, this 75% full moon, will be about 7 degrees from Spica. If I get the opportunity, maybe I'll take a picture of that for you to let you see that on Twitter, what that looks like. Remember, 7 degrees is a little less than one fist width at arm length, like that. And so you can see the moon in there. Great. The next night is the highlight of the week. So if you're going to get up early on Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 22nd, and watch what the moon has in store for you on that morning. So if you move due east of Spica over here, so think about moving from the cup of the martini glass down to Spica, about that same distance across to the east, you'll come to the alpha star of Libra. Now, a lot of people don't know the constellation Libra. It's not a terribly bright constellation. These two stars, the beta star up here is actually a little bit brighter than the alpha star, but they're both around 2.5 magnitude, which is not a bad star at all. It's an easily visible star, but it's not a really bright, pops out at you kind of star like Spica is. So significantly fainter than Spica here in the morning sky. And you've got 3 stars. Libra tracks on down this direction, and this is by far the faintest. Gamma Libra is a 4th magnitude star out here, but you got these 2.5 magnitude stars right here. Zubenelgenubi, the southern claw, and Zubenelgenubi, the northern claw up here, are your 2 stars that are the brightest stars in the constellation. What's going to happen on the morning of the 22nd is the moon is actually going to pass right over the top of Zubenelgenubi. You don't see the moon cover stars this bright very often. So it's worth getting out and taking a look at this. For me, here in Iowa, in the middle of the United States, it's Central Daylight Time. That's going to happen somewhere around 6 o'clock in the morning. This star is going to blink out as the moon crosses over it. Now, that's going to be still dark enough. It's starting to get light a little bit at 6 o'clock in the morning right now. That's going to be still dark enough to see the moon cover this star. A half an hour later, 25 minutes later, when the star pops back out on the dark side, the unlit side of the moon, it's going to be so light, I don't think I'll be able to see that star. Maybe, but a pair of binoculars would surely be helpful to watch this happen. And depending on where you are, if you're east of me, if you're in the United States and you're east of me, it's going to be harder for you to see. It's going to be more daylight, more glow. If you're west of me, it's going to be easier to see. It's going to be darker when this occurs. So this is something for you to keep in mind. Watch this happen. Watch the moon pass in front of the background star and blink out this Southern Claw star in Libra. And if nothing else, if you don't have a chance, if where you are, you don't have the opportunity to see this actual occultation, you don't actually see the moon cover this star, go out a couple hours earlier and the moon, or even go out just after midnight, right? Go out at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the moon's going to be really close to the star. You'll see a really good, interesting pairing as the moon tracks across the star this direction. So definitely worth taking a look at it no matter what, even if you can't see the occultation where you are, if you have a chance to see the moon passing into Libra. And if you don't know the stars of Libra, here's your chance to learn the stars of Libra. When you go out and you see the moon really close to a star that's just to its east, hey, that's Zubenelgenubi, Alpha Libra. And then you can find Zubenelgenubi, Beta Libra, and then find Gamma Libra. And you can also try to track other stars. The stars you see to the south of there will be Libra as well. So that's what we got there for you on the morning of the 22nd. We'll skip the 23rd and get out on the 24th. The moon's going to track from Libra into Scorpius. By now, the moon is getting to be less than half full, and so the moon is starting to, it's rising later and later and later each night, and so you're going to have to be closer to dawn to get out to see this. Although Scorpius is up now a couple hours, well placed. This is, for those of us at mid-northern latitudes, it's far enough south that it's a challenge to see, and so you have to have it up a while for it to clear that southern horizon, to get out of the soup of the goo of the atmosphere on the south to be able to see it. So we see these four relatively bright stars that mark the head of Scorpius, and hugely bright Antares. And remember, we get a lot of our information about star names from Alan's book, Star Names, Their Lore and Meaning. It's a book I recommend highly if you'd like to read about these sorts of things. And Antares is from Ptolemy. So almost all of the star names, if you've tracked what we've been doing, almost all of the star names are translated from Arabic. And so some of those were translated into Arabic from Greek or Latin, and then translated back out of Arabic. And some of those were just straight up Arabic names. And Antares is not. Antares is due to Ptolemy, a Greek name, and it means rival of Mars. It translates best as rival of Mars or like Mars in the sky, because of its orange color is what most people would say, but it's also bright. It's also often about the same brightness as Mars. So it looks like, if you're going to confuse a star for Mars in the sky, when you're out there looking, Antares is it. The moon on the morning of the 24th, remember this is after midnight on Wednesday night the 23rd, it's into the morning of the 24th, the moon is sitting about 5 degrees north and east of Antares, making a really nice pairing with the bright star Antares. Again, that's about half of your fist width at arm's length. So the moon just keeps trucking, right? It just keeps trucking to the east through the background stars. So you find Antares there, and you've got your big sweep of a scorpion's tail out there. If you got your telescope and you want something to do on that morning, or the next morning when the moon's further away, even better. Look just below, just to the south and west of Antares, is the beautiful bright globular cluster M4. It's a big, loose, sprawling globular cluster, but it's a great example of a globular cluster. So that's your thing for you. If you're bored with looking at all of these stars and you want to see something, what we would call a deep sky object, look for this globular cluster down there in next to Antares. So next, this is a terrible rendition of Sagittarius. And so next, 2 days later on the 26th, the moon is going to track into Sagittarius. And so it's this direction. It's about that distance behind the tail of Scorpius. But I'm going to redraw it up here where we can see it a little bit. We think of Sagittarius as a teapot, the main asterism. That's the body of the teapot. You have the lid of the teapot and the spout of the teapot up here. We looked at the teapot of Sagittarius a lot. That's a big spout. We looked at the teapot of Sagittarius a lot last winter, when the planets were there and we were watching Jupiter and Saturn move relative to some of these stars sometimes. And now we put the handle stars up here. We've got the handles. There's some brighter stars that move back up this direction too. But let's mark our handles right here. That star is Nunki, which, as nearly as I can tell, comes from, it means Star of the Proclamation of the Sea. That comes from Alan. And then I tracked this down a little bit more online. It seems to come from a Babylonian 30-star tablet. So the 30-star catalog that's a Babylonian origin is this name. Asela is another Greek name that means armpit, would be this star right there. Okay, so this is our Sagittarius. Handle of the teapot, spout of the teapot. Now the handle's too big relative to the spout. Goodness. Okay, what's great, on the 26th, the moon's going to be sitting right in here. So the moon is right in the handle of the teapot of Sagittarius. Get your binoculars out if you need them, if the moon's washing the sky out, and find these stars in the handle of Sagittarius. It's got to be right before dawn pretty much for you now. An hour or two before sunrise, you're out there looking at the moon. By this time, the moon's only about 20% full. So we got a nice, fairly slender crescent moon. And look for this in here. It's only about 1.5 degrees from Nunki at that point. So it's really close to these stars. That's not a big, it's not a big grouping of stars. So it's close to all of these stars of Sagittarius, the moon is. That's the morning of the 26th. The 26th is Saturday morning. So this is not one you can see just after midnight Friday night. You're going to have to wait until closer to dawn on Saturday to be able to see that. So this is a great, great week for you to track the moon as it goes all the way. It wanes from 75% full to 20% full, and it goes all the way from Virgo through Libra, through Scorpius, and into Sagittarius. And it makes a lot of interesting passings of stars as it does. So pairings with stars, even going right over the top of a fairly bright star right there during the week. And if you're use this to learn the stars of Libra this week, and if you got your telescope out and you want to see something interesting, see if you can find M4 and enjoy that globular cluster. Clear skies, everybody, and have a great week ahead.